Hello everyone and welcome to Best Side Cycling. Today we'll be continuing our Lake Washington Loop tour where we go over the famous 50-mile route circumnavigating the whole Lake Washington, and we're going through it in extreme detail so you have everything you need to know when you go on this ride. But if you missed any of the previous videos, feel free to go and check out the playlist. But we're here in Southeast Seattle. We're starting at Seward Park and we're continuing northbound for a few miles on Lake Washington Boulevard to Mount Baker Beach. This road, Lake Washington Boulevard, is very, very famous. And it's definitely something that has attention of a lot of folks, which I'll get into. But first, just in terms of Seward Park, this is an awesome place to bring your bike and ride around. Moreover than this loop, there's also this inner sort of route and loop that you could do, and that's sort of catered to sort of slower riders and then just sort of all different trail users, but you're open to also ride around that too, where you can get a lot of nice, really intimate views of the lake as well as the nearby surroundings and Rainier and such. But riding on this road too is really fantastic. The roads are generally quite wide. There are no formal shoulders or bike lanes though, but the thing that I'll be talking a lot about is that since 2020, this whole corridor, since it's sort of owned by the Seattle Parks and Rec Department, was closed down for as a keep moving street. So basically they had it only for local access, people who live in this road or need it for anything else. And then in 2021 they closed it only for the weekends and holidays. And in 2022 we're sort of at this point where they only have it closed for I think 10 weekends, including one coming up September 16th to the 19th. And there's a ton to get into there, but generally there's definitely, I'm going to leave a link below. And the current state of where things are at is that they have a task force that's looking into the general visioning and decisions proposals for what this will look like long term. Because I think really the response seems to be initially to the global pandemic in 2020, and then obviously residents have picked this up in a huge way in their comments, but also in ridership. So looking at this chart, you can see just before all of this, it was probably in the thousands, and now it went all the way up to 4,000 during some of those weekends. And that made it into one of the busiest, or I think the busiest corridors in the entire city, even more than Fremont Bridge, which is really well known to be sort of a connection between downtown, the Burke-Gilman and all those sort of areas. So it definitely has a ton of potential, and if you get anything out of this video, it's definitely just to be involved in some way. That doesn't have to be attending all these meetings or submitting all those surveys, but those are obviously really great things. But even just leaving a comment here on this video about what you think about this corridor and what ideas you have for it, or go ride it on the next weekend that's closed and see what improvements you can think of. And hopefully we'll just end up to a spot where this place really can be the one of the prime cycling locations here in Seattle, and especially in South Seattle, where I think that's sort of duly needed as the bike infrastructure tends to lag a little bit behind there. But other things about this route, the gradients are super flat, so this is really nice. Even though as you head into South Seattle at any point, you're going to climb some hills, this section here just along the lake happens to be just flat. And I don't really have it well illustrated in this video as I rode this a while ago and not during one of those closures, but just to describe a little bit more, it's sort of at the intersections, they have these big signs with local access that more or less limits cars flow, but obviously cars can still sort of squeeze in if they want to, and the cyclists sort of work through, and this just becomes a huge wide trail, and it works out pretty well. I think it doesn't remove all dangers on the road. I think there's still some things there, especially with cars still managing to get their way in and cyclists sort of learning to ride together and share this whole road. I think can be improved on, but I'm really excited to see what sort of decisions come to, because right now there's no long-term decision on what to do with this particular road, but hopefully it will come to something that will be able to really elevate and make use of such a prime location and spot for cycling. But that's all I had for this video, I think. So if you enjoyed it, please roll that like button and subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell icon for more. So I'll see you all in the next video.